in Asia. Okay, but I promised you a counter argument. What would a smart person say who disagrees with me? And here's a perfectly good counter argument, which would say, yeah, it's great you think the Japanese are so clever. But actually, China faced a perfect storm of catastrophes. And because China imploded, that's why it leaves Japan on top in Asia. The primary factor is that China's falling apart. And this perfect storm of problems, I'll go through three. It's always a good number. People can remember three things. Talking about the civil wars afflicting China, that in an age of accelerating European imperialism, and also the Manchus who ran China, they're only 2% of the population, were suffering from all kinds of dynastic decline, which I will get into. China had reached its pre-industrial limits to growth. Its population kept on going up and up, but its agricultural productivity just could not feed people. And so people are trying to farm really marginal lands. Either they're too vertical, or they don't have reliable rainfall, and you're getting massive soil erosion doing these things, and you're also getting a lot of famines. And famines are both the cause and the effect of civil wars. And this map, you can just see I've named some of the big rebellions on this one. It's to give you a sense that these rebellions affect all of China, not just a little here and there, but a lot of everywhere. And I'm going to give you a table. And this is a simplified table. It only goes 1845 to 1895. It's part of a much bigger table that would cover the entire 19th century. And that table is an oversimplification. So the point is, this is not business as usual. In the red box, that is the height of these rebellions, 1851 to 1878. The biggest rebellion in there is the Taipings. It's estimated that 20 million people died in the Taiping Rebellion. To put that figure in perspective, and people don't know how many people died in all these things. China didn't know how many people they had, much less how many people they lost. But to give you a sense of it, in World War II, it's estimated that 55 million people died. So you're talking 20 million just in the Taipings, and I have no idea how all this adds up. But it's huge. The Chinese like to talk about these as being rebellions or uprisings. Give me a break. They're civil wars. A whole bunch of them want to overthrow the dynasty in Beijing. A whole other set of them want to secede from the empire, often these minority people who just want the Han, the predominant people, to go away, or the Manchus in this era. So some of these provinces are devastated for generations. Okay, so that's point one, these civil wars. Point two is this coincided with an era of accelerating European imperialism, where Europeans and also the Japanese are carving out massive spheres of influence for themselves. So the Chinese are not going to have sovereignty over their country, full sovereignty, for a very, very long time. And the worst part gets even worse. This happens to China because China loses a succession of regional wars. It loses the first Opium War, the second Opium War. The Japanese snag the Ryukyu Islands. And then in the Sino-French War, China loses control over Indochina. And then in the Sino-Japanese War, they're losing their tributary of Korea. And the Ili crisis is up in Xinjiang, goes a little better for them. This is a mess. This is not business as usual. This is, think about one country being afflicted by this much trouble. And then it comes at a time when the Manchus are in real trouble themselves. They had ridden to power on these fabulous cavalries and tremendous operational success for people who are only 2% of the population that they dominate, and they transform China into the richest polity around the globe by the 18th century. But here's the problem with their tremendous success in their military campaigns. They're overextending China financially. Inside the round circle there, that's China proper. These are the core provinces of China that produce all the income. But the Manchus came in from Manchuria up there, but they also take Mongolia, Xinjiang, and Tibet. The areas that cost, not Manchuria so much, but the other ones, they cost a lot of garrisoning. It costs a lot of money to garrison these places. And so it looks like a great success, but it's going to have problems later on. And then here's what happens to the Manchu emperors. They no longer ride at the head of their armies. The Qianlong emperor, who's considered to be, who ruled at the the height of the dynasty, what's he spending his money on? All sorts of interesting architectural programs, and that's why people think he's great, builds beautiful things. But these emperors are isolated, they don't have command experience, expensive spending habits, and then it gets better. So they got all these tributaries. Some of their tributaries produce really high quality opium. And the emperors decide they want to sample the goods. And the people who are preparing it for them also want to sample the goods. And then the Manchu banner forces that are the Praetorian Guard of the Manchus are also sampling the goods. And then you go, why are the last Qing emperors incapable of producing offspring or have hardly any? Because they got huge harems. So what's their problem? Well, if you're really totally high on drugs, you can ruin yourself. And so that is what goes on. No wonder they're losing these wars if some of your key thinkers are not thinking very clearly. So the counter argument to my argument says, look, it's nonsense. The Japanese may have been really clever, but this is the real big event, is this massive series of civil wars, European imperialism, and the collapse of Manchu minority rule. That would be the real thing. Now, if I leave my argument here, I've just shot myself in the foot because I've just decimated my original argument with a pretty good counter argument, and that would be bad. That would hurt. So you need to do a